He's got that remnant left. The damage through was not enough, and Carl got the last hit there with the DD. Very nice. These two playing up against each other mid is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think that they're both very, very important for their respective teams. I think the T1 absolutely needs Carl to come online. And then I think they need to control the runes for him. This DD rune is what effectively gets him this kill mid, and whoever gets the 8-minute rune is going to have a pretty big advantage.
I want to point out something I think that is pretty cool. Remember when they were top lane, the troll TP top, they went for that kill on Seb, got it. The Venge and the Tree walked all the way to bottom lane to keep their TPs up.
Yeah.
So if OG tries to get aggressive, they can still respond.
Yeah, I think they learned from the first game, right? They want to be able to play pace. They want to be able to match whatever OG does.
Yeah. Still not dealing with Sumail, who currently has 4,000 net worth, when the second highest is still Topson at 3. They're going to rotate in the Stormspear, though. Carl trying to look for a big win here in the top lane, and this pace is going to net them probably 2 kills here, as both the supports on OG will fall.
Yeah, this does, however, mean that Ember gets a free rune, so let's see what he can do with that response.
See, everybody's beelining for them. Top's going to get controlled by OG. Of all the runes, man.
Comes the response move.
Carl, he's not afraid, even with Topson here. He says, okay, probably don't have chains. Not really in much danger here. Topson gonna make use of that arcane rune to make sure he's gonna survive here. Seb gonna receive a helping hand here, a bit of a purge, dealing with that Jakiro, which is gonna be constant problem for him. Zephyr is gonna be run down by the Ember Spirit.
That's your best.
Knows the radius of this remnant so well that he's just dancing around it like it's a landmine. Gonna grab a quick stack. And the nice thing about this though for OG is that their carry is completely protected.
Has Sumail played against heroes during this entire series when he didn't want to?
Yeah, seriously.
No.
I feel like he's just been hitting creeps. Yeah, the OG's doing a great job of moving attention away from their carry.
I mean, we've criticized him, right, for not using his minimap in this game.
He doesn't need to, that's why.
Who cares what's happening?
Yeah,
if we go to player perspective, it's what Cap's looking at right here, bottom lane.
Yeah, if your team plays the way OG does, you genuinely don't need a minimap as a carry player.
Yeah, those are called inside jokes, guys. You gotta give context to the viewer. You say, we've criticized them. You didn't say it on broadcast.
Oh.
What are you guys talking about?
We've been joking about it the last couple of days that if Sumail had an option to hide minimap, he would.
See more of his screen.
Exactly.
And that's a joke that stems from his time on Liquid.
On Liquid, yes.
Dire's top tower.
And that why did that happen?
You would have to ask your best friend William Lee.
Well, yeah, I mean, you told me he died once when he had vision,
That's
and you guys
probably
just
what happened.
memed him out of existence.
Probably, I don't remember how this started, but it was probably he got ganked mid when there was a ward, and William was watching his parry perspective, thinking Sumail's gonna back off here, and then Sumail didn't, and then William was like, Sumail, use your minimap, it's good. And then we all started memeing him about
And then it's just set in stone. Carl's out of mana. Oh, well, actually, does have 6 magic wand charges, so he's kind of baiting him in a little bit for one last jump away, and that jump is far enough. Sumail tried to catch him midway through. 23 Savage right in the middle of all of these heroes. Sumail not too afraid of him, as after, he's going to be a swap back. 2 seconds, he doesn't actually have his ult. Oh no, Sumail. Then T1 realized they made a grave error. Seb is going to be able to get off a good ultimate though, and in return, 23 Savage has overextended himself and receive tips from OG.
That is unfortunate. I think 23 said it best. Sumail, a bit of a blunder there. I think he was trying to like catch the storm mid-zip almost, but as you said, the mana was enough to get him out. And then Savage just kind of returns the favor.
I think the storm went too far. Like I didn't expect him to be able to jump that far, so he must have had a soul ring that Sumail didn't see coming.
Yeah, between Soul Ring and I think it's 6 magic wand charges.
Yeah.
Whitemon almost dying there. Topson still playing the edges, looking for that last light. They are going to be able to get a nice overgrowth, lock him down with the Ice Path followed up. Tops instead. Sumail may just fall again if they can somehow get in front of him. They've got to swap. Sumail's going to show. There it is. Swap back, stunned while the Dark Pact is down. And T1 holding their ground, holding the line around the tier 1 tower, winning these fights.
And this goes back to what we talked about earlier, right? If you let T1 fight, if you let them play to their limits, you put him in a position where they're allowed to play Dota, they're a fantastic team.
Yeah.
And they're showing that here. They're holding their own against OG.
Carl's balling out. He's 5-0-3, but
Yep.
like his score doesn't really reflect like how much he's like had to play Dota this game. Pretty much dueling Thompson since minute 2. Another kind of uncharacteristic mistake from Sumail. Yes, I am talking to you. I'm not quite sure why you keep going middle and pouncing into tier 1 towers, my friend.
Yeah, he was having a totally free game. Don't you just kind of like chill out for a while?
I think the Storm thing, it would have been a big play, you know? He didn't expect the Soul Ring. He gets that. We're talking about how sick of a play that is.
That's
so
true. That's true.
This is what Dota comes down to ultimately, like these small things. And I think right now, when it comes to the micro decision making, T1 looks slightly sharper.
Yep.
I think OG, when it came to the macro and like the decision making and understanding how to execute their drafts, that's really been their strengths.
Yeah.
And I think when OG's forced to play these micro decision making games, that's when they sometimes tend to suffer.
No, it's a really good point because like this game, there's no huge like strategical advantage or edge OG can lean on. They've just got to ball out. Like they just got to play Dota and hope the best.
They're going to pop out, but at the same time, T1 did smoke over, so that's going to be a full-out team fight where Carl, he's going to target down the Rubik first. They're going to be able to get on Thompson as well. No root just yet. Slide into a chain out. They're going to be able to get away on him. The core survive. The supports will die.
It's so hard to play into Jakiro Tree. Like you just see, you know, maybe in the past you had experience playing like World of Warcraft, you know, standing just slightly out of range of the fire or the roots, but in this case, if you catch it for a second, I think NoTail was saving W there, but ends up just kind of standing in macro fire and dies to a root control.
Sumail did get solo mid-tower as a result.
So this is what OG does so well, and I noticed them doing in all these games. Like, yeah, they lost a team fight, but they traded 1 for 2, and they only effectively lost their 2 supports. T1 burnt a lot of cooldowns, they brought their carry to the fight, and Sumail's just free farming still. Sumail's getting to choose when he wants to fight against heroes. So even though like he's died twice here, a little bit uncharacteristically, it's only been because of his own mistakes. It's not because T1's able to apply any pressure to his game. And it's pretty telling. It means that OG are heavily in control of the game. And I think if you ask the OG players right now, like, who's winning, they're like, we're domaminating this game. Everything's going the way we are expecting it to.
Yeah, I mean, Thompson got away with this pretty greedy build as well, maxed out W and like Maelstrom already. Like he's just able to farm now very efficiently. Seb.
Jump in, jump out.
Looking good.
Rune spawned bottom, ultimately DD for Thompson. So you're saying that like OG probably thinks that they feel really good about this game. Dota Plus actually has T1 up 66%. Do you agree with that? Are you saying like just OG thinks that this game is going fine, but it's not actually the case, or what?
I think OG are happy because they're in control. They're setting the pace of the game, and I think that's what they want to be doing. And they know that as long as it's like the game is on them to mess up. They know that T1's going to respond to them. They just need to predict in what way they're going to do it and then react to what's happening. And I think as T1, you don't feel good because you're always playing the response game to the enemy team. You're not like if you notice, trolls in every engagement. Every time we move our camera somewhere, there's a troll there, and he's being poked, he's being harassed. But Carl is balling out of control. So I mean, Carl is feeling himself for sure. He's enjoying this thoroughly.
Now, you say they won't feel good reacting all the time. Is that just like a general rule, or do like some players or teams prefer reacting to the enemy making moves?
So I think you enjoy reacting when you're killing them and then you're getting something out of it. You know that you're progressing your game. You're getting closer to where you want to be. And I mean, obviously they have been, but I think like if you think about all the small things that are going in their favor, all it takes is one of these fights not to, and then suddenly we're going to feel like Slark is unkillable and we can't do anything about him. So I think from OG's perspective, they feel like they can lose 10 fights, but as soon as they win one, the map is going to open up for them.
Okay, so T1 has to parry perfectly every single time.
Exactly.
And we haven't seen them slip up yet.
No, exactly. I think what T1's doing is like perfect, but OG also are aware of that. Like, it needs to keep going this way.
And I love that, you know, you even caught him.
Whitemount quickly killed T1. Or actually, they stole Macropire on Soxa. That's a big pickup.
Sumail, he went for the Dark Pact cooldown, and it's because he's just kind of the win condition. Like Aiden is saying, like his deaths are kind of on him. It's really tough for T1 to deal with Slark in this game, unless Troll or Storm just gets like an item ahead. And even then, it's still a little rough because you're playing with NoTail in your back pocket. So I think that's part of the reason Carl's like skipping the Orchid here, because still not killing Slark. Even if he can't save himself, if NoTail's just there, that entire item is now squandered, and I really like the Kai-San for that reason, just better fit here.
It feels like T1's strategy to win this game is they're going to try to play like a ball so Slark doesn't feel comfortable running into them, and then they're going to try to kill off the other heroes. they want to leave Slark for last and like deal with him once they get there.
And you said early on, like, the strategy for T1, win the lanes, which they didn't actually do, but the other thing you said was they need to stave off OG's aggression, and, like, during this crucial period of time where Venge, Storm, and Troll all need items.
Yeah.
And we're about to reach the end of that, right? Cuckoo is about to get his Aghanim set.
And that is huge. Like, yeah, Venge doesn't help too much with the Slark, but it is a great defensive save for the Pounce. But it's also really nice against Monkey King. You can get him out of the Wukong.
Absolutely.
We saw it used offensively to get Slark killed earlier.
And swapping Monkey out of
And Aghanims doesn't give charges to the Slark. In addition, it's like 2 lives, right? So you can just be this frontliner that your team kind of needs, plus damage steroid for the Troll.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, stolen Macro Pyre. That's actually going to do enough damage to be able to quickly kill Carl. Great play from Saksa and Sumail. And a big pickup, too. 599 bounty for Carl.
The sentry, was that just he didn't have vision of the Slark because he got close? Now do they have the root?
Gonna go for it here. Cuckoo does have this. Oh, he actually doesn't have the Aghanims just yet. The Overgrowth just off the mark there. Little awkward. 23 Savage not able to catch up to Thompson. It's just this trio that is forcing a pretty big response out of T1, but the Axe is now here for Cuckoo.
I'm loving just No-Tail is just so good in these games. It's like he always seems to be right place, right time.
I think that's always been one of his biggest strengths as a player. I mean, his understanding of the map, I think, like, for as long as I can remember, I've always thought is like probably one of the best in the world. Even back when he used to play carry and used to play these Nagas and stuff, he always knew like where to be, where to cut, what waves to be on. And I think, yeah, he's utilizing it perfectly here, even as a support player.
Yeah. Like, if Thompson doesn't have No-Tail with him there, he just kind of feeds and he's like, what's he doing, guys? But No-Tail with the immediate cleanse of the initial stun. Like, the root, we heard the root animation, and it didn't seem like he spent any time rooted.
Yeah, so let me tell you a secret. I learned this when I was playing with Sumail. When you have these really over-aggressive player types, like Sumail when he's mid, or Thompson, you kind of get it for free almost, because you know they're going to run into trouble. Because you've seen it happen so many times that you can easily position yourself behind them. And if the enemy team doesn't respond to these players, they're just going to get so much out of the map.
Yeah.
Nice long jump from Carl is going to be able to catch. Oh no, Saksa caught him with the telekinesis and stole ball lightning.
I really like that point because I've had the experience of the opposite kind of player, which is passive to a fault. And the trouble is when you play around them and they don't push their limits, you end up feeling completely useless because nothing's happening on the map. When you play around these guys that know what to do, that get in there, that create action and chaos, suddenly you feel like you have a purpose.
Precisely.
I feel like occasionally our casts just serve as a sort of therapy for Kyle to be able to get over his former team experiences.
I'm just here for the Dota cap. It's nice to watch good players at the best of their abilities.
Long jump over. Zeb going to be caught, but immediately there is going to be the purge coming out from No-Tail, but they still can keep going. Duel going out, just trying to keep the Storm in place, but it's going to be a duel that is actually not won, just ever so barely. Turns around, nice stun, but mana, okay, they don't want to chase any longer, and it's probably for the...
Love Seb's builder. He had the Echo Saber queued up initially, but I think Mage Slayer, even as the offlaner, is just the right choice. It's something I love about OG is that they're always getting these items that are right for the game to help out the heroes that count. In this case, it'll be just Clark.
I'm interested to see how this Mage Slayer plays out.
Oh,
Jukes.
Jukes out of the magic missile. Thinking about pursuing here, especially with the Stormsphere being chased away there a bit. He can't come back to join the team fight perhaps, and they're going to be able to hit a nice two-man stun. Cuckoo may be the first to die, but remember he's got that extra life. Throws out a magic missile, keeping Sumail back. T1 do a pretty good job. They do have BKB on the Trolls, so they might be turning this. BKB, there it goes. Who's he going to target? They swap back in No-Tail, which is who they want to be able to gun for. They finally get off the Sumail, and Sumail, he doesn't have any mana. They lock him down, finish him off. Nicely played by T1. 50 seconds, he's dead for T1, turning on a dime. They're so good at kiting team fights back and re-engaging.
Yeah, I think
they're battlers, they're brawlers, and OG are playing to their strengths.
Yeah, I think this game they have they have a draft that can play the game.
Yes.
I think the OG really managed to corner him in the last draft and put him in a position that they didn't feel like they knew what to do.
Yeah.
But this time around, they're playing perfectly. I think one of the key things for these team fights, Vengeful Spirit is one of the best heroes against saves. Either swap the save hero out of position, or you swap the hero that you're going on out of position, so the save hero can't use the spell.
It's deceptive because OG, they kill the Venge and they feel good, right? But Cuckoo is fine with that. Suddenly his spells are back up. A great setup. And then Whitemon gets the double ice path to ensure the kills. And 23 Savage, I was like, man, you're in some big trouble. But he had to save the ulti, because if he pops it while he's still in Wukong's, then the whole fight just takes place under Seb. And T1 are really just done for. But because he gets it off so much later, Sumail's now out of position with no ultimate. They have no Wukongs. They really have just no save left. And suddenly things turn out A-okay. But still anybody's game.
Absolutely. Anybody could do this still.
What do you think of the Aghanims on Sumail? Because I feel like that's an item for when you're snowballing hard. Like, the double pounce is nice, but, you know, it doesn't feel like he's strong enough to just kind of get into the middle of T1 and battle at the moment.
Yeah, I could agree with that. I think the idea is probably just to be able to get in, kill one, get out, or catch Storm, chase him down, like, just more disable, more mobility. I think it's always hard to question mobility. It's always so strong, especially in these types of games.
True.
Is there any way it can answer like the swap? Right, he pounces one, they get swapped out of it, but he could still keep going, right?
Yeah.
Question, the thing is, I just fear, like, this is the Venge factor. Like, Troll's just a stronger carry. Even though Sumail's slightly ahead in the net worth, if you look at the itemization, just Falcon Blade, Maelstrom, BKB, with the Venge behind you. Like, that Venge counts as that extra item. Yeah. And that means, you know, Sumail won't really be able to trade too well against 23.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for OG, it's not about the carry killing the other carry. It's more about how can you kill out the supports.
Yeah.
I think both the supports of T1 have been doing a great job of knowing their limits and surviving on the sliver of health.
Oh, they managed to catch him, but there is going to be the defensive swap. 23 Savage is going in. He's going to try and deal with Thompson first, but a stolen swap from Sox is going to be able to get him out, but the Overgrowth catching Sumail again while the Dark Pack was down. Cuckoo dies, but immediately comes back as a Spirit, catching Seb, swapping him out of his own ultimate and keeping him in place. 23 Savage is keeping the rest at bay, and his team can deal with leftover behind Seb. Go straight for Roche.
I mean, the supports, Sania just said it, like, they just straight up win that fight. Zephyr also has Holy Locket, Heal Talent, and Living Armor. So, yeah, you can initiate on my Storm or Troll. I'm just gonna keep you alive. It's a ridiculous amount of heal and armor. And then there's an Ice Path on 3 heroes.
Yeah.
Like, Sumail doesn't do damage.
Something very interesting that Zephyr also did this game is he maxed out Leech Seed. I don't think I've ever seen that done before, but to be honest, I've been on the panel. It's been hard to see exact skill builds for people, but it makes a lot of sense to me when you see the game play out and how it plays out. If anything goes on the backline, he drops Leech Seed, they all get healed, they're playing like a ball, so it just gives all of them so much effective health.
Yep. 35% healing increase as well, so obviously it doesn't help you with your grasp, but it just ensures that you're going to have even more sustain for your allies.
Yep.
And they're really not able, I feel like you want to find Whitemon in the back on the Jakiro, but it's just not a possibility. And even if you were to do so, Cuckoo has the swap. The Venge really seems like it's paying off. Like, we questioned it, but it gives them that ability to ball up, to your point. Because you have all this sustain and a little bit of the damage amplification, so your carry just all of a sudden 2k ahead with an Aegis.
Yeah, I think the difficult part of the game for T1 was really getting to this point, getting to the point where they can ball up. OG now, I think they're gonna have to try to split them up. They're gonna have to force these heroes out of position and force like multiple initiations at once. They have the tools to do it. They just gotta be able to like get the Ember going on one target, get the Stark in on another, because if they're all balling down on the same hero, it's just gonna be small pieces.
Yeah, one nice pick off the BKB from Thompson is caught by the Overgrowth from Zephyr. Still has decent amount of magic immunity time, but is it going to be enough to be able to get him out of this hell? As T1 surrounding him with so many heroes, and he's out of remnants. He is out of T2. Double kill for Carl.
Thompson, BKB into the tree. A really nice job by Zephyr. Another reason the hero seems very strong in T1's hands. They needed their own tool of BKB.
Yeah.
They've got it now. Sanjay Nash on the 12. It really feels like it's T1's game to lose now. 24-10, you got to be feeling yourselves. Still anybody's game in terms of like the gold differential, but you know, if anyone would agree with us, it's probably Seb, who hates the fact that you see net worth on the top of the screen, because that has nothing to do with who's winning in a game of Dota. It's about timing, it's about team composition, and it does feel like Dota Plus has that same idea, because even less than 1,000 gold, 81% win rate, you gotta figure T1 gonna outscale.
Yeah, I mean, I think they've weathered the storm, so to speak. Like, OG needed to take control and take control early, and there's still absolutely hope, but they gotta play these fights smart.
23 Savage was very far forward, and OG looked to be able to potentially punish him. Not going to be able to get the immediate duel. The swap from Soxa is still stolen and still managed to get out No Tail. Pounds forward, Sumail does manage to get on top of the support, so there is going to be Whitemon down. An important member of T1 to be able to stay alive in these team fights. A swap back in, managed to get the duel. 23 Savage gets the duel off. Sumail keeping him inside of the Wukong's command, where he will die there. OG finally managed to win a team fight, a big one at that, where they get 3, and Carl thought maybe they could turn around on a Seb, but Seb does have Sumail right behind him, so even if they do manage to kill this Monkey King, they may be losing both of them here as...
Oh no, 23 Savage, what have you done?
Lose together, win together, slay
Bad time for lag.
together, win together, slay together, slay together,
What?
slay together.
So,
Was
like
he
we talked
lagging
about,
30 seconds ago? He was farming tower by himself?
this is the thing, right? If they ever drop this ball, they don't have the positioning, they don't have the way they don't position their heroes the way they were doing earlier. This is what's going to happen. And OG are always on the prowl. I think they're going to take over the entire map now, try to clear out the vision, and then make sure that they are able to continue chasing the T1 heroes down once they spawn.
He's got 196 extra agility.
Damn.
Can't click the Monkey King, don't click
Seb
me,
Chad.
then.
Please.
This is very unfortunate because that was a stolen Venge stun, and I think Carl might be in trouble now as well.
Yeah, they're going to be able to catch both of them. They do manage to finish off Seb, which was what the original trap was laid for, but it doesn't matter.
Dude. 53 stacks on Sumail now. 112 bonus agility.
Yeah, it's almost as, that's even more than the 196 I pointed out 10 seconds ago.
Focus on observing, Cap.
I'm leading this TriCast and doing observing. The least you could do is listen to me when I talk, Kyle.
I'm so focused there. The Dota is fantastic. Okay, so
It's
we already
true.
see the big mistake has just happened, which is somehow 23 Savage is dead alone in front of tower, then comes out immediately BKBs, which I think is actually a mistake here because suddenly he can't, like, he's backing with BKB, right? And to your point, Aiden, they now don't have the tools to properly position in a fight. He has to use ulti. He's swapped in, wins the duel, but look at how this fight happens now, right? Everybody's zoned by the Wukongs, and he's just stuck inside of it. This is when Monkey King plays well into Troll. If you can force this, you're going to always be happy.
Yeah, it's just the Monkey King arena here just zones off anything, but they really need the Venge to be present when they take the fight.
Dude, Sumail, he's still got some stats going, and he's not slowing down whatsoever. These pounces are staying on top of these supports. They cannot seem to get away. Swap back in, No Tail. Now he's in an awkward position. They're going to jump on a 23 Savage, turns around, bops a BKB before the stun can come in for the Monkey King, but again, he's going to retreat with that BKB. No, he's not. He's going to finish off Sumail. Turns around real quick, blows him up, does manage to get the swap back in, and 23 Savage heals up just a little bit. Can he finish off Seb before and stay alive? He does. Thompson's going to come in, trying to finish off 23 Savage, does get that one. With the BKB, might be able to get 2 here. Zephyr, just 1 slide away from dying, actually does die to Soxa. Chaining up 2, TPing out, doesn't leave a remnant behind.
No mana for the pull. We were talking to No Tail the other day. He said Fog Blind is the best because you can use it when you're winning or you're losing. It's the best flame or a way to keep your team motivated as we once again hit a pause. Oh, but it's nice to take a break some.
Yeah, this has been a very, very exciting game.
I like this. It's
Nice
like-
to get the pulse down a bit. Absolutely.
Why are you guys looking at me?
You're in charge.
Okay, analysts, please talk about this game state.
It's paused currently.
Oh.
Nothing much is happening.
That's a good observation. I didn't realize that.
You're welcome. That's
We have a
10K MMR
replay.
analysis
You
for you
can
right
you
there.
can break down this replay
Feel
that
free,
I
Kyle.
shouted over.
Well, No Tail does not have his W available. Sumail uses Dark Pact. Then you're going to see Sumail go right back in again. Dark Pact. However, he does not press his ultimate button and gets immediately silenced as it fades by Carl just before he tanked that stolen Venge stun. So, Sumail dies as No Tail had no ability to save his carry.
Sick timing from Carl. That was
Yes,
really good.
That was very good. And that's what makes playing into the Slark so difficult because it's like of all heroes that kind of demonstrate the frustrating nature of Dota, it's like, did you get the Orchid? Okay, well you've won the fight. Oh, did he hit Q or R just as you did? Well, you've lost the fight. And them's the breaks.
I think you gotta love to gamble if you want to play Slark. It's like
Yeah.
a little bit of it, right? It's the mind game of am I gonna Q or am I not? So we were having this discussion on the panel earlier about what if you showed mana bars for both sides? Like if you could see the enemy team's mana bars. A hero like Slark would instantly die, right? It would just ruin the concept of Dark Pact because you would just see the mana bar
Yeah.
move. So it was a hard no on my end.
Indeed, and I will say I would also love because we both play. Oh, hang on.
Oh,
Tops.
hold up.
Not going to be able to get away. Maybe his Spirit can get out. As they do have the Tree Protector on the way. Yeah, they're kind of realizing they're not going to go for the Spirit at all. In fact, if anything, they may be swapped back into Doom here. Seb, going to be silenced. Carl not fully committing to this one, though. They haven't seen the Slark just yet. Cuckoo. He's going to try and start backing away. Thompson's looking for some of these heroes. Sumail pounces forward. He's going to go for Whitemon here. Starts stealing some of those stacks. Tries to stick on top of him and should be able to get that kill on the right-hand side. Thompson does catch the other support at the same time. That's going to be Zephyr. At the same time, Sumail has to be careful here, especially with the Cuckoo. His Spirit is going to get burned out, but he could buy back if he wants to and rejoin this fight as a full-out hero. No longer the case. No longer an option. T1 will retreat, giving this fight to OG.
The LC shard is so good because that BKB time gives you those extra seconds to almost always have Dark Pact back.
Yeah,
And I
exactly.
thought Sumail had overextended once again, but No-Tail this time was ready to save.
Yeah. And if you just think about this game, like, how many times did we just see T1 absolutely, like, outplay, play to their limit, do all these small things right? And despite that, like, the game is fairly even.
Yeah, with probability back in OG. Bad.
Yeah.
At the same time though, like this is the trouble. Like you're playing against OG and you make a pretty big mistake up top. Give away that Aegis advantage that if you swap roles, maybe OG utilized to get a,
They're just so good at applying the pressure, right? They're always in your face, and you're always forced to play extremely sharp. And the second you stop, that's what happens.
Oh, we got it.
Does manage to get the pounds. The team is coming in, but it's too late. Carl's already dead. Double damage of Sumail made short work of Carl and OG. They could just keep going. Certainly are going to be looking for somebody here. Zephyr not spotted at Z.
Carl has buyback though. Would not be surprised to see him use.
Yeah, considering how aggressively T1 is positioned, even though they're missing their mid laner,
Sees the
Seb,
tree.
he sees this. He's spotting some heroes right now. Swap back into the ice path. That's a good hold, but he did not manage to get it in. Snare out. The troll did not get lucky, and Cuckoo will die for what he thought was going to be an Ember Spirit kill. Pounce through the Spirit, doesn't actually latch on top of him. And that is going to be the Spirit being gone as well. I can't believe T1 tried that. It was a risk, and it was not a calculated one.
Yeah, this is looking really, really good for OG now. They're knocking at their door. Potentially forcing 2 buybacks here.
And this is where things get a little spooky just because suddenly OG have this ability to play, like, T1 were kiting while they were controlling the area, but now suddenly OG's reach potential has doubled. They have the Aghanims on both cores. Seb is able to play trees.
Radiant's middle tower.
And so it's just so hard now for the Jakiro tree to set up like we saw them do so effectively in the mid game.
Yeah.
Because suddenly Sumail's just gunning for them.
Yeah, OG's getting the initiation in all these last fights. They're getting the kind of jumps that they want. They want these fights when T1 is not balled up. T1 needs the ball where it feels impossible for OG to commit in. But it might be reaching that point where Sumail is now tanky enough to go in, knowing that he has no tail to purge him, and he can just apply all the pressure.
He has the Scotty as well, so Silver Edge to boot. Feeling very good. And it also feels like a lot of these fights are starting when he already has some stacks built up. It's definitely been helpful.
So you notice top here, he just goes in, pushes the wave a little bit, makes sure it's going in the right direction, and now he's already moving over to the next bit.
No-Tail's camping pit. I'm sure he's aware that this will be up momentarily, and there it is.
T1,
They go.
they know this timing as well. They're sweeping over to the Roshan pit. They have no idea how low it is. Now they get some vision. Cuckoo spots that Sumail is trying to solo it. Both teams just going to hold their side of the high ground around Roshan.
Yeah, and this is like a classic standoff, right? Neither team really wants to fight into their team's vision. So now it's going to be like a little bit of a strategic game of who can get the smoke. You're trying to wait here to get a timing where the enemy team is not ready. So something that you might see teams do around this time is, if you look at the clock up top, it says 33:40, right? So you know what every complete minute the camps spawn. So you know that the heroes are going to be around the jungle at that timing when the camps are spawning. Because you know they're grouped up, there's not a lot of farm on the map available to them. So that's a potential timing for you to make a move. But it seems like OG, they recognize that they're just balled up. So they send Topson to the side lane, push it out, get more info, and then make a play based off that.
Oh, grabs it, double
Yeah.
damage, and managed to get the pounce, and it's going to force out the swap from Kuku and probably get him killed as he's pulled back in by the telekinesis. His spirit will manage to get out at least.
No
But-
buyback though.
Yeah.
However, yeah, who cares, right? You're still in the game. Sumail's being a lot more disciplined as well though with the ultimate usage. It's now preemptive, which I think is the key.
The Storm Spirit had to go all the way back to Fountain, so may not be here unless he wants to make a real gun at it and go for a long, long zip. Keeping the vision inside. Sumail's double damage is going to wear out. Storm's going to start TPing onto the outpost. Topson is in. Topson's going straight up for those supports. Sumail, not sure where he's gunning to, but 23 Savage is a little bit isolated here. Kuku's trying to keep pace to make sure he can swap back 23 Savage to get him away from Sumail, while Seb is scaring back the rest of these heroes. Topson's going to be able to finish off Zephyr. That's going to be first. 23 Savage looks at Seb. Carl commits with the Aghanim Scepter, pulling them both in, but inside of that Monkey King ultimate, they don't feel great. Again, the stolen swaps coming out from Saksa is going to be able to keep his cores feeling good and feeling aggressive as the telekinesis tossed back, chained up together. Toss, duel, going out, no tail. They turn around quickly, kill him, winner, and Carl gets away before Sumail can hunt him down. But Sumail doesn't kill. He's going to be able to go for the supports and may still be able to catch Carl. Carl, no mana. Sumail bounce on top of him. They catch him. 4 dead on the side of T1. And now Roshan is going to go the way of OG.
So this team fight, I don't see any other player than Topson doing this. But you notice how he just straight up into no vision,
Yep.
rolls in with the Ember. He knows that they're there. He's playing off of the fact that he knows that they're positioned there. That's how 95% of supports are going to position themselves when their cores are running into the Roche pit. And they get this team fight where there's like basically 4 fights going on at once. Topson's chasing supports. You have Sumail chasing 23 Savage, and you're forcing T1 to not be able to use that swap to just save whoever's getting initiated on. It's really, really smart gameplay coming out from OG, and they're doing a lot of this blind. They're not playing off of vision. They're playing off of where they think they're doing, what they think they're doing, and their own game sense.
Yep, they're just forcing skirmishes.
Yes.
And they're ensuring that supports die, which they were unable to do earlier in the game. And I even love the way like they're itemizing with this knowledge of like how they're gonna play. Topson is going refresher. Like he is playing for like these quick fights. It's all about survival for OG. Create chaos. T1, they need a more coordinated method to win fights. Like they need to kind of control. You saw even there when Savage got kills, it was with like 3 or 4 heroes collapsing. He actually had targets, a big ice path.
Yeah.
OG, they're just, you know, pre-ulting on Sumail, spamming dark packs. You got No Tail just kind of waiting the wings to get off cleanses, and Topson's gonna have 10 remnants. How do you hit a man who's invulnerable and flying through you?
And he probably gonna buy the shard too, right? So every kill he gets, that's another bonus remnant. I wouldn't be surprised to see it right after the refresher.
Very nice items for Sumail. Protected. I think that makes sense just because it boosts your regen time when you're off map.
It's just not really anything he needs to flicker. He has enough purge with the Dark Pact at this point that the lifesteal is just better for him.
Paladin Sword's doubly effective because he's also got the shard too, right?
Precisely.
Point. Slark Shroud is so broken. Troll will end up attacking no one if used.
Can actually save against the semi-black hole coming out from the Storm Spirit with the Aghanim Scepter.
So yeah, I think for OG it's going to be important to continue taking fights like that, where they can predict where their supports are going to be positioned and Topson can just roll in. He's just continuously going to do this, I'm sure. He's just going to jump into the backlines. He knows he has like 5 different jumps, so eventually he'll find them. There are only so many spots that they could be hiding in.
Now with an Arcane Rune. He also
And the 25 talent, right?
Yeah, he talented totally for Searing Chains as well. So you're just going to see him zipping back and forth, spamming chains.
Here we go.
Kuku did still manage to get the swap, but 23 Savage can't hit him right now. Sumail His ultimate was used, still has the Depth Shroud. They're going to turn around and start doing some damage with a pull-in onto Carl. They do something to Sumail, but he's going to be popping his BKB. 23 Savage responds in kind here. Kuku's going to fall. Spirit form now. They do manage to get the nice lockdown. Macro Fire going out. The Ice Path can actually lock down. Macabre's a refresher. BKB still potentially up. Chase for Carl doesn't actually quite get him. Meanwhile, 23 Savage is just getting kited around and ripped apart by the rest of OG. Now with no carry, T1 very likely going to be dying here unless Carl could do something magical by himself, but he just doesn't have it in him. Doesn't have level 25 nor the shard.
Wow.
GG is called. OG will take the second game here against T1. T1 definitely putting up a much better fight, but you gotta think back to that moment. 23 Savage just way overconfident in his positioning, not respecting perhaps OG's aggression enough, and I feel like that's going to come back to haunt him, because this has been a story that has been there for 23 Savage for what has been a relatively young career. Last TI qualifiers, he didn't make it, and he felt like it was a mistake of his own, and many people agreed. And now he's finally here, and he's like, the nightmare's over, but I feel like that same nightmare, it's a recurring one, you know?